None of these ladies that love you now paid you no attention. If it wasn't for that bird, you'd be still over there sitting on the ugly side. With that being said, some of you men's, the bird is not for you. Y'all be around here looking like Cap'n Crunch, and I mean it.
I don't hear nobody out there. Hold it down. Hold it down.
James was an American living in Tokyo and teaching English to Japanese students. He was a full decade younger than Phyllis's 40 years, but also undeniably mature and disciplined. He had signed on to spend a year in Tokyo, not only to teach, but to learn as well, studying martial arts from the masters. James had begun studying karate while still in his teens. Now at 30, he was a third-degree black belt who had left behind a thriving Taekwondo academy in Denver to train in Japan. A cousin of saxophonist Pharoah Sanders, Dante had been brought to the club by a friend. I was just out in front of the club and up pulled his van and out came Phyllis and the entourage, he recalled. They saw me and Phyllis. Just everybody thought it was funny that here's this black man in Tokyo standing outside the Blue Note. The group shared a laugh with Dante before ushering himself inside the club. They just befriended me and said, "Come on in and hang out." Dante returned to the club and partied with his new friends once again. He spent a lot of time with all the guys, but it was Phyllis that had really caught his eye. When she was there the entire time she was in Tokyo, we just spent a lot of time together. We just really hit it off. We had dinner and just sat up and talked. Phyllis was definitely impressed by the handsome American who spoke Japanese and practiced the martial arts. Y'all, I bet you his body was something beautiful. You hear me? Something beautiful, like a work of art, like that Serena Williams. When it came time for her to leave Japan, the couple pledged to keep in contact, and despite the distance between them, did just that. I had a hell of a phone bill. We just called back and forth, wrote back and forth. Email wasn't happening back then, so I made a lot of late night phone calls because of the time difference. Dante, like Larry and Tad before, was light-skinned. He also had another one of Phyllis's favorite physical attributes, facial hair. Wearing a complete beard. I had seen this little thing on Instagram because, you know, everybody got something to say. And if you want to say it, you can say it on the TikTok or the Instagram. Baby, when I tell you he was running down on these new fine ninjas. And when I say new fine ninja, the man, he defined it appropriately. He said, "Don't forget, men, that just 5 years ago, before you grew that beard in, you was ugly. None of these ladies that love you now paid you no attention. If it wasn't for that beard, you'd be still over there sitting on the ugly side." With that being said, some of you men's, the beard is not for you. Y'all be around here looking like Cap'n Crunch, and I mean it. That beard is not helping your aesthetic. Some of y'all, when y'all got them waves right and that bird right, you're a gift to the universe. But those other you, just because you can grow a beard, it don't mean that you're supposed to. Some of y'all be looking crazy, like the Cap'n Crunch. He was an inch or two shorter than she, but tall enough that the two still made an attractive couple. Phyllis began to contemplate her weight once again. After years of martial arts training and practice, Dante was a finely chiseled fighting machine. Pause. In my latter years, y'all, I be saying to myself, I am so happy that I am married. Because if I have to take these clothes off in front of a new, young, fresh bulldagger and her body is like cow, y'all, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I would have to have the lights really low, a t-shirt on, a girdle, some kind of something, girl, some high heels, already be laying down in the bed so they couldn't tell that my stomach was flabby. I mean, it would be a lot, y'all. Through the long distance phone lines, Phyllis's relationship with Dante developed quickly. She was an artist, and the opportunity to get to know her better was intriguing, certainly, said Dante. But she was funny. She was smart. She was gregarious. She was all the things for all the reasons you would want to get to know somebody better. Aside from being, gorgeous. In late February, the two rendezvoused for a weekend in San Francisco. Phyllis fell hard for Dante and soon was talking marriage. Glenda insisted on having a prenuptial arrangement drawn up. I don't think anyone had proposed at that point, said Dante. I think we just started talking about being together. The talks only intensified as winter turned to spring. In March, Dante flew to Philadelphia to see where Phyllis lived. Dante went into that apartment and was like, I think I'm going to like it here. The trip was not without the highlights, though. The two went out for a night on the town to see Serafina at the Forest Theater. And before he left town, Phyllis took Dante home to Pittsburgh to meet her family, where he officially asked Phyllis's father for a hand in marriage. With the senior Hyman's blessing, the two celebrated back in their room at the downtown Pittsburgh Ramada. There wasn't a ring yet, but the two were now officially engaged. She wanted to marry him, recalled her musical director, Terry Burris. Dante, he was the man, and we were happy. We were like, somebody, please calm her down. And Dante, every time he came around, her attitude changed. So we said, well, maybe this is the one. Maybe this is it. Maybe this will do it for her. You're right. I can't stand a bitch that only know how to be happy with a nigga. Child, everything about them. Them bitches will sit at home and be broke waiting for a ninja to come in the house. Bullshit the baker. Bullshit the baker. I mean, I'm not saying I ain't never made mistakes before in my life in relationships, but once you know, you know. While Phyllis continued to prepare her new album, she was also breaking in a new band. With new members came a new act, or at least a few updates. Most prominent was a tribute to the legendary Sarah Vaughan that featured a medley of her hits, including Sophisticated Lady, Old Black Magic, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, Lullaby of Birdland, and Body and Soul. Vaughan, who had received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award a year ago, had died just months earlier, but not before coming to see Phyllis during an engagement at George's in Chicago. I don't know why she came to see me, but for whatever reason, I am grateful, said Phyllis. She was a hard taskmaster, the band quickly learned, and not in the best of spirits. Sometimes there was so much drama going on off stage that we weren't always sure that she would make an appearance, recalled Douglas. So now Dante is realizing that his love interest, she's having suicide thoughts. Those thoughts never go away, and Dante then found out that, okay, yeah, she could put me in certain positions, but I got to take that was there. Right there is this woman has suicide ideation. For Phyllis, suicide was always an option. Pressure soon grew to be too much for Phyllis. Amid her troubles, there was still much to be optimistic about. She was engaged to be married. She had a record in the bag that, once released, was sure to be as big a success as the last one. But the combination of the disappointments and anxieties floating around in her head proved too potent for Phyllis. In July 1990, Phyllis decided that she wanted out. Now she calling her boyfriend over there in Japan, 100 million miles away. This is what I'm feeling. This is how I'm going to resolve it. Dante is like, what kind of crap is this? How is this bitch just going to drop this in my lap? That's what happens. Now, what's crazy is I know some of y'all are thinking in your mind, bitch, pull yourself together. What's wrong with you? Why are you trying to leave this earth? It's family that love you out here. Why would you do that? Some people believe that it's just a conversation to be had with the right person. It doesn't work like that. For me, working in a mental health clinic for a couple of years, I saw a lot of young people that I just could not understand. And it was one thing that this doctor told me, shout out to Dr. Israel. These people come in here looking for a happy pill. There's no such thing as a happy pill. Like I told you, when I lost my mom, I lost my mind. Depression is real. And if you cannot fix it with your own therapy, then a lot of people would go out there and self-medicate with dope, pills, alcohol, because it's demons that they're trying to get away from. But them demons don't go nowhere. That's why they end up on dope, because all dope do is just make you go to sleep and then just be floating in black. I know this because I've had a Percocet before. Okay, but all dope do is just have you floating in black, and everything stops in that moment. I don't know what fentanyl do for you. Well, I do know what fentanyl do for you, because when I went to go get my breast reduction done, y'all, I ain't even trying to be funny because we talking about something serious. What happened was they gave me this paperwork to say the medication that I would need for the surgery. And that shit said fentanyl. And I looked at my wife and was like, is this okay, baby? Is these motherfuckers trying to kill me? And then it was this other drug that was underneath of it that said, was it Narcan? It was some kind of shit that brings you adrenaline shot. That's what it was. I said, these ninjas about to put me so far under that I need an adrenaline shot? That shit was scary. You hear me? But that's typical in surgery. You don't remember nothing. In that moment, all you remember is counting backwards. And then you wake up and be like, damn, what happened? Am I okay? Am I alive? People want that. People want that feeling of darkness and black, so they don't have to feel, so they don't have to think, so they don't have to worry about all the troubles on this earth. And there is not a conversation that can be had when you are that much into your depression. Tearfully, Dante said goodbye, and once off the phone with him, Phyllis swallowed a handful of pills. You know what? I ain't even mad at Phyllis, because you can't control certain things. There's nothing you can do about it, because once you get it settled in your mind, it's in your mind to do, period. Especially if you have that suicidal ideation. Relieved to still have his fiancée alive, Dante met with Phyllis in Denver in August. Dante introduced Phyllis to all of his friends before the two took a trip to the mountains. There they stayed in a lovely loft at the Glacier Lounge, just enjoying each other's company. Dante was planning to once again settle in Colorado after returning from Japan, and he was pleased that Phyllis seemed to enjoy it. When she was with Dante, Phyllis tried to be on her best behavior, but separated from him, her loneliness got the best of her, and her behavior was unpredictable. After her 1986 stint in rehab, Phyllis had managed to go a year or so without drinking alcohol. When Martha David came on the scene at the end of 1987, Phyllis was still on the wagon. I asked her early on if it bothered her when I drank alcohol around her, Martha recalled. At first she said no, and then maybe about a week later she said yes. It did bother her. I said, fine, I won't drink around you. And for a little time I didn't, even when she started drinking again. I thought that in some way it was at least not encouraging her so I wouldn't drink alcohol. Without seriously addressing her mental issues, it was inevitable that Phyllis would start drinking again. Alcohol, booger sugar, pills, food, sex, shopping. Phyllis binged on all of these things in an effort to self-medicate and make herself feel better.
Hollywood, lovely white light, baby carry. But it is in Hollywood.